Hello friends, welcome back to Aunt Debbie's Boutique. Today we're going to make a pencil bag for back to school. I probably should have made this video earlier so you'd have had time to do it before school started. You still have time to make one. It may be after school started. Okay, this is the type bag we're going to be making. I sell these in my Etsy shop. They are stitching bags for stitchers, and you can put small projects in them or keep all your thread organized in them. And that's what I use them for, and I also sell them. And I sell bigger ones like this. This one is not finished. All it needs is the binding around it, and they'll be available in my Etsy shop too whenever I get them finished. But this one will fit nicely in a notebook. It's got 3 holes in it, and but we're going to make it out of more child-friendly fabric. What we're going to need is a front and a back. The front, you're going to see through the vinyl. So I'm going to use this, I think this is Charmander. And he was a big panel like this. And I cut him down, which looks a little awkward, but it's not going to show because there's going to be things covering it up. But I cut him down so that his face would show through the best in the vinyl. So you want a 10-inch piece of whatever fabric you want to show through. Of course, once you put stuff in it, it'll cover it up. You want a backing fabric like this. And you're going to need some batting because we're going to quilt it. And the batting is going to sandwich in between the back and the front. Now, I just used cheap batting that I got at Hobby Lobby. That I occasionally buy a crib size package of batting and just use it for things like this. You're also going to need a zipper that is longer than 10 inches, or at least 10 inches, but the longer the better. It makes it easier to just trim it down. You're going to need a piece of vinyl. I bought vinyl by the yard, also at Hobby Lobby. They had 3 different weights, and I just chose the middle one, and it seems to be about the perfect weight. And I've cut it 10 by 10. We're going to end up cutting it down a little bit, so you could possibly cut it 10 by 9 in height if you're trying to save on your vinyl. Then we're going to need 2 10-inch strips. I'm sorry. We're just going to need 1 10-inch strip for across the bottom, like this. And the reason I put that on there is to help reinforce that vinyl so it doesn't stretch out too much. Then you're going to need 2 pieces for the top. I'm sorry, you're going to need 4 pieces for the top. That's where I got off. This one I'll have to cut in half. And you want them 1 1/4 inches or maybe 1 1/2 inch. I made these out of layer cakes and jelly rolls, so I used the 2 1/2 inch strips that were in the jelly roll and just cut them in half for this part. Then you'll need 1 strip 2 1/2 inches wide. That is the width of your fabric, and that's going to be our binding around here. And then if you're like me and you have a brand that you want to put on, you'll need one of your little brands. And you'll need 3 grommets with the front and the back. I have this fancy machine that I put mine on with, but you can also get the handheld ones that aren't very expensive. And then you need something that gives you a guide for your holes. And what I did was take a 3-hole punch and punch it into some cardstock, and this is what I use to mark where my holes go. And this is some of the paper that came with the vinyl that was wrapped in it. And this is very helpful when you're sewing. If you put that down both either on top or bottom, either way it helps, underneath your vinyl, it won't stick to your sewing machine so bad, and then it just tears right off. So we'll use some of that. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to quilt our back. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to line up my fabric and the backing with the batting sandwiched in between, and I'm going to pin it real good, and then I'm going to take it over to the machine and quilt it. Now on this one, I don't know which is easiest to see, which side, probably without the glare. I just did about a 1-inch diagonal stripe going both directions and made these little squares that are on point just for a nice little quilting pattern. But I think on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a black thread, and I'm going to go around and quilt everything that is in the outline and just follow the pattern on this. Okay, let's take it over to the sewing machine and get started on that. I'm not sure if I told you this was Charmander or not, but my daughter tells me this is Bulbasaur. So sorry about that. I'm not very Pokemon fluent. And if you'll notice, I'm working on a new machine today, or a different machine, I should say. This is a Juki TL98E. It's my very favorite machine, and my closest and dearest friend and sewing buddy gifted this to me, and it is just wonderful for, all it does is straight stitch, but it is wonderful for quilting, for heavy duty bags and things like that. So it is my favorite machine. I kind of put Edna away for a while because she was acting up, and the thread kept breaking a lot. So I'm going to work on this one for a while. Okay, I'll just put this in fast motion and you can watch me quilt at least part of it. Now I have quilted around all the black lines, at least the bigger ones, the major ones, and I've trimmed all the threads I could find. I also stitched around the edge to hold it in place. I'm gonna give it a good steam. Well, maybe I am. My iron shut down while I was doing all that. So we'll steam it here in just a little bit when it heats up. But let's now trim it up square. And I'm just using my mat. I don't really care. This is not a quilt, so it doesn't really matter the exact size. I just want it square. I'm going to cut a little bit more there. Move it a little bit. Now, you'll notice in some places we can see the batting. It's not going to matter because we're going to have binding over the top of that. I just wanted to make sure it was square. Now let's see if this works. Okay, he looks pretty cute. Got a little wet on him. Now our next step is going to be working with vinyl. And unfortunately my vinyl's been rolled up, so it kind of has a kink to it. I should set it under something heavy to straighten it out, flatten it out. But I'll use that at the top, at the bottom, and then I can trim off some of it. Okay, the vinyl's going to go here, but first of all we need to make our zipper. And I chose a black zipper, and it needs to go this way. Your pull should always be on your left hand side, although it still works if it's not. Then I'm going to take 2 of these 1.5 inch strips, and with right sides together, get it kind of in the middle of this. I'm going to pin it this time, but you've seen me in my other videos using that double-sided tape, and I highly recommend that. It will hold it in place really good, especially if you're a beginning seamstress. And most of the time I use it. I just forgot to bring it with me right now and to where I record, and so we're just going to pin it. All right, so with right sides together, we sandwiched the zipper in between with the zipper facing up and the pull on our left-hand side and out of the way for stitching purposes. So now I'm going to put my zipper foot on, which looks like this, and we will be able to stitch right next to that zipper, and then we'll open it up and iron it. Okay, let's go to the sewing machine. That noise is the thread cutter. It's very loud, but it does an excellent job, and I accidentally stepped on it first. Now I've stitched it as close to the zipper as I could, and we're going to open it up. Well, let's do one side at a time. And we're going to iron it real good. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other side with right sides together. We're going to stitch it and iron it open, and then we're going to top stitch on both of these. So we'll do all that at one time. Now that we've got our zipper done, we want to center it on this 10-inch piece, 10-inch square piece of vinyl. And I'm going to pin that in place. This would be another good place to use the double-sided tape if you wanted to. And you'll notice it's longer than what we need. I did that intentionally. And then I'm going to take a 1/4 inch seam right down the side here, right next to the vinyl. Yeah, I'm going to just tear the tissue paper off. And we have a nice seam there. Now then, I'm going to trim off these extra little threads. We want to turn it this way and top stitch it, but I don't want to steam this because of the vinyl. So I'll top stitch that real quickly and just be right back. I didn't put the tissue paper down when I top stitched it. I actually forgot, and it stitched okay. So it just depends on your machine. I'm going to steam this part. I just don't want to get the vinyl. It gets a little steamy, but I just don't want to put the iron on it. Okay. Now, I put my zipper on upside down. Do as I say, not as I do. So, I'm going to redo it, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have the zipper on right now with the pull on the left-hand side. You want to make sure you unzip it enough to get it inside your line, and then we're going to inside the edge of your vinyl. And then we're going to cut off all the excess on both ends. Now, because I don't want my zipper to run off the edge, I'm going to, on either end, I'm going to stitch here and here a little bit to hold it. We're ready to start lining up our bag. We're going to line this up at the top. And I'm going to stitch like about an 1/8 inch in right across the top, making sure my bag is lined up here on the sides as best as I can. So let's put a few pins in this and then stitch that. Now we have the top tacked in place, and it's time to trim it up again. If there's any, my edges are pretty good this time. They're not always. So I'm going to leave the sides alone, but I'm going to trim off this vinyl right in line with the bag. Now we want to put on our little strip across the bottom. And this is not necessary. Hello, this is future Debbie editing the video, and there was a little bit of dropped coverage. So I want to go over the part that dropped. I'm still having issues with my phones just shutting off. Someday I'll get to the bottom of it. But the part that dropped was the part we sewed down here at the bottom. You're going to take your 2.5 inch strip that's about 11 inches long, and you're going to fold under 1/4 inch. Let's pretend this is that, and you'll fold 1/4 inch under and iron it. Then you're going to line it up with the bottom of your bag, the vinyl at the bottom, and you're just going to top stitch it on there. It's a very simple procedure, but it got left out of the video, so I'm inserting it now. Thank you. Now, oh, I'm sorry. I hit the camera. It's very awkward trying to put the camera in a place you can see real good and that I still can see myself. Now, if you have a brand that you want to put on your bag, now's the time. We're going to need about 1/2 inch here to spare, so I'll kind of try to center it a little bit over here on the left-hand side. And I'm going to need my paper again because it wants to stick. Okay, I'm going to use this paper on top because we're going to be stitching on top of that vinyl, but I want to be able to see the edge, so I've got it right over close to it. You can also use the Teflon foot. here's our bag all done except for the binding and the holes we're going to put in it so it'll fit in a notebook. Doesn't it look cute the way he pokes through there? I think any kid would love this. Okay, we're going to take our 2.5-inch strip that is the width of your fabric, and that should be plenty. That should be enough to go all the way around. I've cut off the selvage, and we're going to just iron this in half lengthwise. Move that way, a little closer. My 2.5-inch strip that was the width of the fabric in half lengthwise. There's different trains of thought on how to do a binding. Some people like to put it on the front and turn it to the back. I like to put it on the back and then turn it to the front and top stitch it. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold this little corner, like this. When we get started, when we get to a corner, you're going to fold it at this angle, and then, well, first you'll back off of your stitching. You'll stop before you get a 1/4 inch before you get to the end, and then you'll turn it like this and continue on. Start again and continue on stitching. You'll do that on every corner. So let's do that, and then I'll show you how to finish it off. Now that we've stitched it on the back, we want to turn it all towards the front. And we're going to pin it in place, or you could even use clips. I have a lot of clips. I need to bring them into the room I record in, but I didn't bring them today. And you make a nice little diagonal corner, mitered corner on the corners. And I'll just pin it all the way around and then go back and top stitch this. And we'll be done with the sewing. Okay, we're all done except for the grommets. So I'm going to try to iron this just a little bit on the edge without messing up the vinyl. Then I'm going to place my 3 holes, piece of cardboard centered. See if I can see these marks afterwards. I may have to get some white chalk. Okay, our bag is done. It's ready for all the pencils and crayons and whatever else needs to be kept in it. The fabric that I used was put out by Robert Kaufman. It's part of his Pokemon line. I think you can still get this fabric. These panels I got years ago, and I don't think you can still get them unless you can find them on Etsy or something. This is Future Debbie again. I am re-recording the ending to this video because I messed up the names of all these Pokemons, and my daughter got me straightened out. And so I want to let you know that if you'll leave a comment at the bottom, I'm going to give away not only this one that I made, but I have since made this one. This is Bulbasaur, I believe. This is Squirtle. And I believe this is Eevee. I believe that's how it's pronounced. So I have 3 Pokemon pencil bags to give away. If you'll leave a comment below, I'll use a random number generator, and I will draw 3 numbers and just go down the line in the order I drew them, and you can pick which one you want as long as it's still available. So thank you for joining me for this project. I hope you'll come back. I hope you'll like and subscribe and tell your friends about it. And also, if you want written instructions, this pattern is available in my Etsy shop, AuntDebbiesBoutique.com, without the apostrophe. And you can purchase the pattern for $2.50, and it will give you all the measurements and step-by-step instructions with pictures if you would like that. So remember, whatever you do, do it to the glory of God. Thank you.